He is Alex Dunlap. I am the Podfather. This is Content Kings, and we're going to talk about the Week 12 slate, and we're going to talk about DFS. We're going to talk about podcasting. So we talk about what's happening with the NFL and fantasy football, but also what's happening with Rosterwatch, what's happening with PlayerProfiler, FastDraft. We get behind the business with you, but also just talk football. Alex, how are you feeling about the slate this week?
It's just the same as usual. I think it's probably, I don't know, man. Are we talking about the DFS slate? Are we talking about just the are we talking about the pick'em slate? There's some.
We went over this before. We talked for 10 minutes about
no, we didn't.
How we were going to come in.
We talked about Ted Turner and a bison herd reduction hunt, and something about you stealing your wife's phone and giving her friend fantasy football advice. What adult male is texting with your wife at night?
She knows that I am me, right? And he knows this. So she has a coworker, and he has a fantasy football team. And all of her coworkers know that I run PlayerProfiler, and once in a while they get in the tough spot and they ask her for start-sit advice, and then know that it's probably going to end up, with her asking me, but whatever. So it was a difficult choice. I mean, he did ask her whether he should start Justin Herbert or Bo Nix. That's a tricky one this week, right?
Yeah, it's so tough. I told you, man. We have them ranked back to back. We have them just ranked just behind the top dudes, man, the goats, right? Behind Jalen and like Lamar and just the rest of these guys, right? It's like Bo Nix has been, I'm not sure that I'm not sure I'm with everybody saying that all of a sudden we're going to say that he's had a more impressive rookie season than Jaden Daniels or anything like this, dude. But I think it's just he really has it coming together. And when you add on the fact that he's rushing for 30 yards a game too, so with spike weeks from there, and so with the way that it's coming along and the way that what we'd always wanted from Nix, and what the thesis was that okay, you have this prospect. We're in college. You're a little bit worried about the offense and how often he would push it downfield and all the rest, right? But then you're like, well, if he's gonna get Sean Payton, and this is the guy that Payton says that he wants, and famously Payton was not able to get Patrick Mahomes, and he killed himself over it, right? He'd been waiting for his guy, waiting for his shot, and everybody said this was it. And I'm like, I'm not sure I believe it. I think he might be settling here. But his style of play, it does remind you a little bit about how he would use Drew Brees. And he has the mobility attached to it. And I think I don't know what you guys have done in Dynasty as far as your updated rankings and stuff, but he's certainly been one for us that, coming to love Bo Nix, man. It's like he hasn't been JD, but he's been awesome.
We have a Bo Nix now as a top 15 quarterback. He's in the conversation right there with Anthony Richardson, Trevor Lawrence. He's passed guys like Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Michael Penix. Michael Penix could overtake him, though. It just takes one game, and Michael Penix is going to overtake him. It could be that. I like Michael Penix a lot. In college, Bo Nix, very polarizing prospect. Did you think he was this good in college?
No, well, dude, and I let it, look, I sometimes let the Senior Bowl get a little bit of the best of me sometimes. But he had a bad week down there, man. None of those guys had good weeks last year. Penix didn't either. But I think that there were a lot of people that were a little bit skeptical in Nix, and we still don't the story hasn't been completely written, but yeah, there were some things where, look, I'm not sure that it's like, I thought he was kind of a system quarterback, right? But now the more I think about it, I'm like, well, if you're a system quarterback and you go to a system that fits your skill set, it's like, well, he's probably going to be okay. You know, I mean,
Aren't
think about it.
most college quarterbacks system quarterbacks? Wasn't C.J. Stroud a system quarterback?
Well, but there are guys who can operate. Well, Stroud was different because of the vertical element that he
No,
could
I'm
bring.
just saying, just because they operate in a system that helps them, that elevates them, doesn't mean they're also not going to be great in the NFL and whatever system they end up in the NFL.
Oh no, I think you're exactly right. But there were Nick's kind of moved around a bunch. You have trouble, finding his footing and everything like that. And in the final season that everybody sort of pointed to was just, I forget. I'm not in draft mode anymore, so I don't have the exact stats. I could probably look it up, but the percentage of passes that came under like 7 yards and stuff like that. There was all kinds of stuff like that. That were the talking points at the time.
The huge volume that he gave to Bucky Irving was necessarily going to hold back his average target depth for sure. That's what I mean. The original quarterback that was besmirched as a system quarterback, who ended up being one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time and setting records for the contract that he signed, 10-year contract. Who signs a 10-year contract? Remember, that was the reason he fell to pick 10. Patrick Mahomes was viewed as a system quarterback because he went to Texas Tech. Just because you went to Texas Tech doesn't mean you're a system quarterback. That's what I'm saying. It was crazy. Like, that's why Sean Payton was kicking himself. He's like, wait, this guy's going to fall. He wasn't ready. That is when you have the most regret. And if I were an NFL GM, I could see this happening to me even. Just writing off a player because you don't think you'll have a chance to get him and not preparing offers. So when Team 7 is on the clock and Team 8 is on the clock and Team 9 is on the clock, and you should be firing offers to trade up so you can get Patrick Mahomes. If you don't have those offers ready, if you haven't done the due diligence and you haven't created the scenario for your roster where you would go up and get Patrick Mahomes, if you haven't visualized it and gone through the process of planning for it, then you don't end up pulling the trigger because there's so much chaos happening and there's so much going on and there's so much decision-making that's coming at you when the draft is live. I could totally understand. And again, I think even the most competent, fastest working, most well-prepared general manager is going to have these moments where they look back and they're like, I should have sent an offer. I should have picked up the phone. I should have called Team X. Fuck. I had no idea. I thought Mahomes was going on this pick, and then we're moving on. And then I thought Mahomes was going to go to the next pick. Turns out he falls to pick 10, and I'm sitting here going, well, I could have traded up to pick 10 had I known, but the clock ran out on me, and I wasn't prepared. I wasn't ready to have all these contingencies ready to go. I mean, that would be the obsessive preparation that I would do if I were an NFL general manager, is gaming out all these scenarios and the types of packages we'd have ready if scenario X, Y, Z, iterating out hundreds of scenarios. I can see me doing that, being that obsessive compulsive about it. And I know watching some of these programs like Hard Knocks with Joe Schoen, I know that not all NFL GMs are wired that way.
Well, you're wired differently than a lot of people, Matt. You're a guy. I mean, we do pods and stuff together, but we're friends, and I know you personally and stuff. And I know how you run your business, and I think it's true. I'm not saying you could be a GM, but I think you do have the personality to get done what you wanted to get done. Is this true that Daniel Jones?
Hold on. Go ahead.
Is this true about Daniel Jones, or do you want me to continue my thought?
It's Cody Carpentier.
Yeah, but Cody could be messing with us.
Cody, he put it in twice. He put it in the chat twice. I believe him. I believe Cody. Dude, I'm less skeptical of Cody than you are. I'm going to say it flatly. Daniel Jones has been released.
Let me just look here. Yeah. So statement from the Giants on the release of quarterback Daniel Jones. So statement from Giants president John Mayer on Daniel Jones. Daniel came to see me this morning and asked if we would release him. We mutually agreed that would be best for him and for the team. Daniel's been a great representative of our organization, first class in every way. His handling of the situation yesterday exemplifies just that. We're all disappointed in how things have worked out. We hold Daniel in high regard and have great appreciation for him. We wish him nothing but the best in the future. Okay, so they've released
corporate nonsense speak.
Tommy DeVito, then Drew Lock, and then who did they bring in? They brought in a third. I forgot who they brought in just in case they needed him, but they could not play Daniel Jones anymore for worry that if he were to be injured, they would be on the hook for a certain amount that was to be left. But the financial, I don't know the financial implications of what a release at this point in the season is going to mean, or whether there's going to be any negotiations there. Let me look and see. So
we're looking at the standings right now.
The quarterback
I don't see a team that has a winning record that needs a quarterback. So sometimes you have a situation where a team like, let's say, remember the Giants in 1991 or 1990, Phil Simms went down and they had a Super Bowl caliber team with Lawrence Taylor and company, and they went and won with Jeff Hostetler wide right. There's not a team like that. The team that's the closest team to that might need a quarterback that thinks it's in the playoff hunt would be Indianapolis, Pittsburgh.
No,
but that's not an upgrade. Russell Wilson's playing well. It's not an upgrade to go from Russell Wilson to Daniel Jones. Is it an upgrade to go from Anthony Richardson to Daniel Jones?
I mean, I don't know. We were talking about the
you
system.
Don't know.
We were talking about the system quarterback and stuff like that, and I'm not sure you can just drop anybody in there with Steichen and just get it going.
Geno Smith? You think Seattle should sign him?
Oh, no. Not over Geno. Are you kidding me?
No, I'm just saying, what about a backup quarterback where if something happens to Geno, it's not a big downgrade?
Oh, dude, I mean, what about the most terrible thing that the Raiders could do would be to pick him up and pay him some money.
No, they're not going to do that. What about a mobile quarterback? You got Washington. They're 7-4. They've got a rookie in Jaden Daniels.
Can you imagine?
Who's fairly svelte. They go and get Daniel Jones as Jaden Daniels insurance. Lamar Jackson's been hurt multiple times. This is the Ravens are absolutely 100% going for it this year. I think he goes to Baltimore. I think that they need Lamar Jackson insurance, and Daniel Jones has that kind of mobility. I think he would fit the system. He should go to Baltimore as the backup quarterback.
My main concern here is finding out just what the financial implications are. Like, do they have to pick this up, or what is that what the release means? Like,
released is released.
Well, what does it make of the?
He's on the open market.
Yeah, but is his contract completely voided?
Yeah, that's what released is. They have to pay out whatever they owe him, and then so I think you get two mobile quarterbacks that are on top of the AFC right now in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. I think those are the two best candidates to go and get Daniel Jones.
Well, is Mitchell Trubisky still in Buffalo? Let me look and see.
I believe so.
I'm not sure.
Mitchell Trubisky is their backup quarterback. That's a big upgrade over Mitchell Trubisky, though. You could argue Mitchell Trubisky and Daniel Jones have similar careers. They're similar guys.
They're
really the same guy. Really, it's not that big of an upgrade. It makes more sense for him to go to Baltimore.
Yeah.
See, we have show sheets. This is the thing. We have show sheets, but I am not loyal to the show sheet. If we have breaking news and we can be the first on the internet to be talking live about the release of Daniel Jones, that's what we're going to do. We're going to pivot. Fuck the show sheet. We're going to pivot. We're going to Daniel Jones.
We haven't talked about the show sheet yet anyway, man.
Well, no, we did talk about the show sheet, and I teed you up at the beginning of the show, and then you stumbled around and didn't have a take.
I had a take. We talked all about it.
You said, I don't know, the slate it's just another slate, like a normal slate. It's the same kind of challenges. And the answer is that this is a uniquely challenging slate in week 12, Alex. That's why I wanted to talk to you about it. This is one of those slates where you've got some real stay away games. You've got some real potholes, and we have to weave our car around these potholes and make sure that we're parking the car in the upside games. That's where you want to park. That's where you want to play players from. You don't want to be playing players like Cedric Tillman this week. What do you have, 4 fantasy points?
Yeah, well, and a fumble. That Jameis hustled down the field to go make the tackle after. Jameis is such a crazy guy, man.
I like him. He's becoming a more endearing character week in, week out. Jameis Winston. You got to love him.
He's going to become a pastor at like a mega church after.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, dude. Have you ever seen him preach?
What?
He's an incredibly gifted pastor. So, but like he's got such charisma. I guarantee you, he's going to start a church. It's going to blow up into a mega church.
Oh, yeah. He's had all that podium time going back to college. That makes sense, actually. Wouldn't it make sense that quarterbacks from all that podium time in high school, college, professional level, they would be the best equipped?
And the thing is, the thing is, like the best pastors too, especially in the charismatic evangelical church, those pastors, it's almost like they're giving like a pregame pump up speech for the whole sermon.
It's pregame.
You know what I mean? And like who gives the best at that, right? Who's the
same time of day. It's Sunday, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
Yeah, Sunday right around lunchtime.
Right. It's just they flipped the switch into pregame pump up mode.
Yeah, man. But so yeah, that was, I mean, and plus the snow. It was fun to watch. I think, dude, Cleveland's getting a new stadium with a dome though, right? So it's like we're not going to see that for too much longer. And I can't say that, as a fantasy player and as somebody that works in this industry, I certainly haven't loved dealing with all the wind and stuff off the lake there in Cleveland and having to account for that in projections and all that. You know how it goes, having to manually go.
I mean, with the shoulder injury and the weather, that's really what doomed Baker Mayfield. He had Odell Beckham, not a fit. He had the weather, not a fit, coming from Texas. And then he had all the shoulder injuries. Like, he just wasn't right. And now we see him in Tampa, and now he's going to get Mike Evans back. I think we're right back to, Baker Mayfield, top 10 quarterback again. It's going to be interesting.
Yep. We'll see. There's
again, not this week. That is a bad game. That is one of those games where I don't want exposure to that game.
That's a pothole game for you?
That is absolutely what? That game could easily get dragged into the mud. That is another one of those games where you're looking up and it's 17-13 and no one is helping your fantasy team.
Okay, so
you need to consolidate this week around these potential shootouts. Do you think that the Arizona-Seattle game is going to shoot out? That's the big question I have. If that game shoots out, I think we're all going to be fine. If that game doesn't shoot out, I think we have a problem.
I was thinking about, man, it's one of these games wherever, what's the total? 47.5.
It's 47.5. It's Vegas saying we have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, 72% of the tickets are on the over in this thing, 61% of the money. So it's like there's a little bit of some, maybe some, not quite as much money as there is as far as, money on it, as far as there are bets on the over. But still, it's like you got the majority of the money, the majority of the bets. I mean, that could mean it's a square play, right? But usually it's only a square play if it's the majority of the public and you only got like 40% of the money. That's the classic. This is square and this thing's going under and you don't need to be, investing in it. But I think that this was one where it's like one of the two games or one of the 3 games. This one, the the Chargers, Ravens, the Eagles, and the Eagles and the Rams.
Yes.
And then I think there was one other. Of course, Detroit at Indy,
yes.
where I was just looking at all these and I was like, the first, and I know it's creepy to say, the first thing that I thought about was look at every single kicker in that game and see if you can find one at over 6.5 kicking points.
Yes.
Because that thing, whenever you get these that are over 47.5 or 48, if you can find one kicker that is over 6.5 kicking points, those have been smashing all year. And the ones I was able to find this morning were Chad Ryland and Matt Gay. And everybody else is sitting at 7.5, 8.5 kicking points. So I do like those. So kicker takes on the show, but
we're doing kickers. I love Gay. That's great. Yeah. I picked up for this week. My kicker for this week is Joshua Carty. I think that's my kicker of the week. That point totals of 49. Can't believe we're having this conversation. So the interesting thing with Seattle is that they don't have necessarily an alpha corner, and historically or so far this year, that's actually not been great for Marvin Harrison. You'd rather a team have one of these corners they can put on an island, and then they will freely let Marvin Harrison have man coverage and be able to go one-on-one. And when he's been able to get man coverage, he's been great. His win rate versus man on PlayerProfiler is 41%, which is top 10 in the NFL. The problem is the vast majority of Marvin Harrison's routes are being run against bracket zone coverage. Teams are not respecting Michael Wilson and Trey McBride. That's been his big problem. His overall route win rate is low because he's facing bracket coverage more than almost any other wide receiver in the NFL. He's getting there this year with touchdowns. So he's finding a way to score touchdowns, even though the catch rate is very low. And the catch rate is not necessarily a function of the catchable pass rate. A lot of the passes are not catchable, not through anything that Kyler Murray is doing, but because there's such a high deflected pass rate, when you have so many instances of double coverage, more of the passes get deflected and defended by opposing cornerbacks and safeties. That's been the problem that Marvin Harrison's been running into. But when you just look at the pure air yards, that's why we like air yards more than, say, yards after the catch as a predictive metric.
Dude, he's like 42% of his team's air yards. It's crazy, man.
Well, that's a high number.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's
that's number 7 in the NFL.
It's like
he's putting up huge air yards, and as a percentage of the air yards for the Cardinals, it's incredibly high. But these other metrics, he's not delivering. The one worry is the yards after the catch, but again, that's not as sticky as air yards. So I'm inclined to like Marvin Harrison Jr. I just don't love him in this matchup because this is the classic type of team that is going to bracket him, and that's why this would be the week. If there was a week you were going to play a fringe option, it would be a week where there's a bunch of pothole games and there's a bunch of bye weeks. Atlanta, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and then the New York Jets all on bye. I like Michael Wilson this week. That is my fringiest of fringe option for wide receiver this week. So I have 5 fringe options I'm playing this week. Michael Wilson being the fringiest. Then another guy in the shootout, Rashad Bateman. Rashad Bateman's a boom or bust. I think this is a boom week because Harbaugh versus Harbaugh, they're going to wall off Derrick Henry. This is what the Chargers do. They shut down the run. They're a pass funnel defense. And this week in particular, this is going to be a challenging week for Derrick Henry. And for that reason, I also like as a fringe running back option, if you really are desperate at running back in deep leagues, Justice Hill. This feels like a Justice Hill week as well. I also like Quentin Johnston in that game. We still didn't get Ladd McConkey practicing on Thursday. He fell very hard on that shoulder. Sometimes you can come back and play on pure adrenaline.
He's going to play. Yeah.
So you think he's going to play? If I'm him, I'm playing.
I don't think. I mean, I always listen to Dr. David Chow, and I read everything that he writes about these injuries, and he's just like, oh, he's playing. Especially when it comes to the Chargers. Whenever he's like, oh, he's playing.
Okay, so he's playing. That's great news. Whether he plays or not, this is a week to play Quentin Johnston.
Oh yeah, yep. I can't believe we're saying it.
I can't believe I'm saying this.
Yeah.
Right, this is me saying this. This was like last week where I was like, I can't believe I'm saying this. You got to play Jameson Williams, and so you got to play Jameson Williams again this week. So I'm back playing 2 players I do not like, 3 players I do not like. My top 3 fringe options that I'm playing with relative confidence this week are all players that I despise: Jameson Williams, Alec Pierce, and Quentin Johnston. Athletic players with either knucklehead factors or have shown themselves to not be polished football players in some way, shape, or form. And yet, because this is such a flawed and dangerous slate, I'm fine playing flawed, dangerous wide receivers with real upside and potential shootouts. Alec Pierce going to catch a touchdown from Anthony Richardson. The big question, the big deciding factor this week, when you're trying to figure out who you're playing in which games, we have Anthony Richardson. This is a big-time spoiler alert. We have Anthony Richardson as a top 5 quarterback option this week. Top 5 quarterback option. And just to answer the question when we started 10 minutes ago, I will tell you that my wife's coworker, I told him to start Justin Herbert over Bo Nix. Justin Herbert is going to go nuclear this week. It's going to be Herbert versus Lamar. And I think the run games are going to get suppressed, and it's going to be all about Herbert and Lamar. So I'm going Herbert because that's my rule of thumb. Even if Bo Nix is technically scoring more fantasy points per game than Justin Herbert, I don't care. I'm chasing the points. I'm chasing the total. One total is 41, the other's 51. My rule of thumb is you always chase those extra 10 points that are supposed to be scored in that game because those a lot of them could bend toward Justin Herbert. You want that upside. And then sometimes that's the reason you win or lose a matchup. So I'm going with that. And then I'm also fearlessly, it just took 1 week. It took 1 week for me to feel good about it, fearlessly playing Anthony Richardson. And I know some of you at Rosterwatch, I was going to ask you about how does the trash man, Cody, how do you 3 feel about Anthony Richardson?
Cody hates him this week. I was just looking at it.
What?
Cody hates him.
No.
It looks like, he's bringing him way down. I'm going to need to talk to Cody. I think I have him right at about – here's the thing, Matt.
Didn't Cody take him at the 101 in Superflex leagues this year?
I guess he doesn't, I don't know why he doesn't. Here's the thing. Detroit's gotten
Did Anthony Richardson betray Cody in such a way that now Cody is just out on him? Like sometimes when you're so in on someone that when they disappoint you, you become the first to be so out on them.
He's kind of been like that on Levis, always taking these Levis props for more than 1 interception and stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. So this is the 2023 quarterback class has been breaking Cody's heart 1 game at a time. I can imagine like a crown of thorns around his heart. This 2023 quarterback class just killing Cody.
My line of thinking on it was this as far as the rankings. So I'm going to have Jalen Hurts. I'm going to have JD versus the Cowboys. I'm going to have Lamar Jackson over Anthony Richardson. There's no way in that same game with Justin Herbert that I'm playing Justin Herbert over him. I'm going to play Bo Nix over him against the number 5 matchup of the week for quarterbacks at Las Vegas.
That's where my rule of thumb comes into conflict with your approach, where I want the points. I don't want Bo Nix against the Raiders. I think that's a fake good matchup. I think that matchup could go under, and there's just not a lot of points scored in that game, and it's a Javonte Williams, Audric Estime, Jaleel McLaughlin, share the love, share the touches fest, and we all hate our lives over it.
We just did this. We've been using this simulation model for some of the prop stuff lately that does like 1,000 sims. And somebody that's simming out at the very highest right now, as far as his prop on Bet MGM right now, Cortland Sutton at 4.5 receptions. Like some of these sims have him getting like 9.2, 8.7, like all this stuff. I think regardless of whether you think that Nick's like Cortland Sutton's going to be more than 4.5 receptions this week versus the Raiders. It's like, look at you giving me the Jack Nicholas yet.
You think so? You think it. This is the beauty of it. You think it, right? You think it, but then no. Right?
All right. So I'm just Knicks, and that matchup is not.
Look at the game last night. Who got there at running back? It was actually Jaylen Warren.
Are they playing?
That's what these pukey games. That's the other thing. With these pukey games, who ends up scoring the fantasy points is often more randomized. Where if it's going to be a shootout, you know who needs to get there for it to be a shootout. Like, for example, this is why you're playing Jameson Williams. You know Jameson Williams against the Colts is a smash.
Well, not necessarily. I think this is going to be another big game for the running backs. You want to run, dude,
if Cody's right, listen, if Cody's right and Anthony Richardson does not parlay last week into...
How did I win at FastDraft DFS last week? The way I won is I said Breece Hall is going to smash against these idiot Colts, so I'm going to put him at the very front of my list, and I'm going to make sure and get, hopefully maybe get him in addition to maybe getting one of the big three, as I saw last week, between Achane, McCaffrey, who else? Achane, McCaffrey, and Kamara, and then I was hoping to also get Breece Hall, and then I'm like, and I know with the next one I'm going to be able to get one of these two Lions, probably David Montgomery. And I love the line. I love both Lions against. I love both Lions again this week because they're going to go up against that same Breece Hall thing that I loved last week.
My theory of the case for Jameson Williams and Alec Pierce will absolutely crumble to dust, and I will be crying. Well, I won't be crying. I don't really care, but I will be moderately sad for an instant before I remember that I love my life.
Yep.
I might have a very brief frowny face, right? Very brief. If Anthony Richardson face plants and Cody is proven right, then everything crumbles. You're right. Stacking Pierce and Jameson Williams is fraught. You're asking a lot of Anthony Richardson to come back to back.
Yeah, I just look. I think.
Has he ever gone back to back quality performances?
Once. Yeah, in weeks. What the 2 weeks? In weeks 2 and was it weeks 2 and 3 of 2020, 2023?
I'm sorry, I asked some of these questions. I don't know. Some of these rhetorical questions. I wonder what I'm doing.
Yeah, I mean, I can look. I
know you're going to look it up. Look it up.
Yeah, let me just check.
Yeah, we have a time that we have to end the show. You told me that you have until a particular time. We only have X minutes.
So he's had two kind of back to back because weeks 1, his first 2 games of ever, right? So Jacksonville week 1, he had like 26 fantasy points, and then he went to Houston and only got off 10 attempts. Remember that was the one where he fell in the end zone and hit his head?
Yes.
And that was the head injury before he came back.
What was his fantasy point total that week?
Well, he got hurt at the beginning of the second quarter and still got you 18.3.
What?
Yeah.
No wonder Cody was drafting him 101.
Because he had already gotten 2 rushing touchdowns. It was on that second rushing touchdown when he got concussed.
That's the other way. So if he keeps them competitive with his own rushing touchdowns and Downs and Pierce can't get going because of it, man, I made a snap judgment, and I'm right back on the Anthony Richardson train, and I feel like it's swaying back and forth, and it feels like a rough ride. This train feels like a very rough ride right now.
A little bit of a rocky ride for sure, but that's the way it is with these quarterbacks and stuff. And what I was saying earlier before we got the Daniel Jones news is I do think that you would have a unique personality to be able to make sure that you you find that you would. I think that you're very neurotic, Matt, about you want to make sure and have these meetings with everybody and make sure everybody's aligned and people know what's going on and all the rest of it. If you were given autonomy by your owner, right, to be able to say, this is how I run the draft room, this is how I want to do it, and I'm going to need to be nimble on my feet, and I'm going to need autonomy to make decisions, all that stuff. A lot of these GMs just don't
cell phones.
Yeah, well, a lot of GMs are going to think, for one, they're going to think, man, if I do this and I trade away a 1 next year or something like that on some snap judgment that I make, is he going to be mad at me? Is he going to allow me to do it? Are there certain players that are, golden calves that I can't trade off the team? Are there
This is why you're on the I love this show, because no one has golden calf references. Fuck yeah.
Marshawn Lloyd has skinny calves. He has Darren McFadden calves.
Oh,
and that's why he was always hurt in college. And I'm not saying that's why he's been so hurt. But we said the whole time, whenever Cody and I first saw his calves, we said he's got Darren McFadden chicken legs, and he's going to have trouble staying healthy.
Oh no! I sensed that Cody wasn't a fan, and so I've had some debates with Theo about Marshawn Lloyd's upside.
Yeah,
and so I was more of a Tyrone Tracy guy. And,
you had to be more of a Tyrone Tracy guy.
Well, had to. No, not necessarily. Back, many months ago, not necessarily. But yeah, Devin Singletary's a player I've never actually rostered on a fantasy team in my life. So that's part of that was really the biggest driving factor there.
Do you know what the craziest thing is though? The one guy who I've seen in my life just have the autonomy and have the ability to get everybody aligned as far as what they're doing and to war game every scenario and to not leave any rock unturned as far as what's going on is the worst drafter I've ever seen, and it's Bill Belichick. His process was amazing. He had he had it all. He had all the T's crossed, the I's dotted. Everything was, and he had the autonomy to just do whatever the hell he wanted. He didn't have to ask anybody.
He just had the wrong data. That was it. He was looking at the wrong data. And it is true. You are the absolute best drafter on FastDraft. You are the FastDraft MVP. No one else has either finished top 3 in a DFS contest and is currently top 3 in a best ball contest. You are the first to achieve that. So congratulations, my friend. Everyone needs to tip their cap to Alex Dunlap. This guy is good at fantasy.
Thank you all. I'm so happy to be here. You're all too kind. It's certainly an honor. Yeah, dude. So fast draft. It's fun. Let me see.
Okay, can we just go to the ad real quick? And I just shot a brand new promo talking about the DFS contest. We're going to run it right now. Oh, incredible news about FastDraft. FastDraft DFS is live. It's called the Flex 6 Frenzy. You just draft 6 guys, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends for the Sunday slate. You like Jahmyr Gibbs? You like Jackson Smith and Jigba? You like Tyrone Tracy? Draft him. And the beauty is you can just order 5 teams, submit your rankings, and FastDraft will email you the results. We awarded $1,000 in prizes our first week, and we're just going up from there. Soon there's going to be a select 6. No drafting at all. You just pick any 6 guys. Our DFS mantra, just say no to salaries on FastDraft. Don't forget there's free tools on FastDraft too. You want to get ready for startup season? We've created the best Dynasty mock draft experience there is. And if you want to play in these DFS contests and our best ball contest for 2025 coming very soon too, just use promo code PODFATHER when you deposit and you get a free draft. It's that easy. And you're like, oh, I already have FastDraft. Great. Refer a friend. Have them put your username in as the promo code, and then you and your friend will both get an instant deposit match up to $25. We got DFS. We got Dynasty Mocks. We got Best Ball. It's all there for you on FastDraft.app. Check it out. And the promo code is Podfather.
Nice, dude. I love FastDraft, dude. It's gonna take off, man.
Pretty good, right?
Yeah, I think that It's a rough go to launch a best ball app like 2 weeks before the season starts, man. Like it's gonna.
Oh yeah, it's a rough go is right. Yeah, to launch in mid-August. Yeah, that was a rough go, and then to roll out DFS right before Thanksgiving, also a rough go. It's one of the, thank God I just watched this Ted Turner documentary, and he's like, I risked it all to do this, and I risked it all to do that, and I risked it all, and I was like, well, I guess someone else is out there risking it all, and it worked out. So we're risking it all, man. So everyone out there, check it out, fastdraft.app, get in there, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. You get to play against Alex and probably lose. That's the thing. You'll probably lose. Now, what is happening in the DFS gaming space? Because I know that you play in most contest types. Again, you're on FastDraft, you're on DraftKings, you're all over the place. Like, you are a prolific fantasy gamer. Seasonal, weekly, Dynasty. Like, you're one of those guys, right? I go to for advice in general, or just like, hey, get my finger on the pulse. Where is this? Where is the pulse of the market right now? What are people excited about? And you always seem to know. So salary cap DFS seems to me to be becoming less popular. And the prize picks, the pick'em games, there's so many different pick'em games coming out. And the more I see all these pick'em games coming out, I'm like, well, there's going to have to be some crowding out. There's only so much bandwidth people have, and it would stand to reason that there would be fewer players playing in these salary cap contests. Is that what you're seeing?
Dude, I mean, look, I'm gonna continue playing on DraftKings and continue making the cheat sheets for DraftKings and FanDuel, because our customers, we do have customers that love them still, right? But man, I can just tell you that people just aren't as interested in salary cap DFS right now. And it feels like it started a little bit last year, but this year I've just noticed it a ton. And look, right after this, I'll be going on my show with Derek Carty and doing for the Roto Grinders show that we have. And that's a salary cap DFS show. But man, I've noticed even during that show, we start talking more about Carty's projection system, which is called the Blitz. It's a really good projection system that
Carty's great.
Very often. He's a different kind of cat, right? He comes from like baseball analytics, and he's not much of a football like mind, right? Like, as far as just, he went to like MLB scouting school and stuff. He's more of a baseball mind, but he's a super good like math guy. And the Blitz is a really good projection system because it takes into account all the stuff that he learned in MLB analytics scouting school, like weather and wind and stuff that we have models that
weather and wind.
It's just really hard stuff that's kind of hard to bake in. But he, so I'll still do those shows, and there's still value to it. I still care about it. I still care about, Roma Dunze's $4,800 on DK this week. Is that a good price? I kind of think it is. But like stuff like that, right?
We just got done talking about the fact that that's not a good price.
Well, no, I think
that is the game that you need to run and hide from. Why do you think Jefferson's having such a hard time scoring fantasy points week in, week out? Because their defense is too good. It's hurting Aaron Jones. It's hurting everybody. That game, there's not going to be 40 points scored in that game. It's going to be 30 points. That's going to be 16-14.
Well, we were talking about fringe guys. We're talking about fringe guys, right? You were saying the fringe guys who you like. The fringe guys who
I'm saying is you don't want to focus on a guy like Odunze. I love Odunze. I think Odunze is a better player than Marvin Harrison Jr. But in that particular game environment, he has less upside than an Alec Pierce. That's my point.
If we're talking about fringe guys who I like, let's just say that are sub. So here's how I still reference DK. Let's just say guys who are sub 5K on DraftKings.
Yeah.
My number one is Quentin Johnston. I also like Roma Dunze. After that, I would like next either Rashad Bateman or Romeo Dobbs. I mean, we're talking really fringe.
Okay, no,
here.
Rashad Bateman, yes. Romeo Dobbs, absolutely not.
For some reason, it says Tyler Lockett at 4,800.
Yes. Yes, Tyler Lockett's a great fringe option this week. That's the game because we think that game's going to shoot out.
Yep. And then Noah Brown at 4,200 and Alec Pierce. Yeah, Alec Pierce at 4,900. Those
Not Noah Brown.
Yeah, those
not Noah Brown. Do we have a sound effect for Noah Brown this week?
Is there a sound?
Yes, we do. Wait. Let's see. Was that the right one? Yes. Okay. This is a Brian Robinson week. Okay, this is a pukey game too. Cowboys are going to the Commanders. Okay? The Commanders are 11-point favorites. What do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to be throwing the ball all around? Think they're going to be going up and down the field? No, this is a Brian Robinson week.
What if Jerry has Daniel Jones come in?
They're 3-7. I think Jerry at this point knows they're going for the draft pick. But maybe, yeah. I mean, if he does, if he's like, I love how the Eagles really stuck it to the Giants signing Saquon Barkley. I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to sign Daniel Jones. We're going to get him.
Yeah, he's so old, man, and bad now. I used to defend Jerry a little bit, man. I can't do it anymore, man. He's just like there's sometimes, man, that I've noticed in life lately. There've been guys that just been too old, man. Jerry's just like too old for this now. You could tell, you can see it in his eyes. But you
can see it in his eyes.
Yeah, you can. Like Jerry used to have this. It's weird. Just that's kind of just an off the cuff statement, but yeah, Jerry used to have like this kind of twinkle in his eyes, man. This little like mischievous kind of, you know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, it's an energy level.
Yeah,
right. It's like an energy level. You ever, when you were a kid, you had like these robots. You ever had these robots as a kid with batteries?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. And you notice when the batteries start getting low, the lights in the eyes go a little bit dimmer.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. It's kind of the same, man.
It's similar. When they get older, it's like this. It's the same person, but it's just the battery is not there, right?
Yeah.
The power is not there, like pulsing through the circuitry.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to say it. And whenever that happens in a human, it's like the synapses aren't firing at the same levels, and it's like you can make bad decisions. It's no big deal. And Father Time's undefeated. He's coming for all of us. But I used to just say, look, if you don't like Jerry, you hate Jerry.
Cliche alert! Cliche alert! Cliche alert! Cliche alert! Cliche alert! Cliche alert!
I love how you can do it live. I used to say, if you don't like Jerry, you hate Jerry. You think he's ruined the team. Like, oh, all right, but who cares? It's his team. He owns it. Like, but I would just say this, man, that if you look at him now and you just look at him objectively, he's making really bad decisions, and he's getting too old. But as far as
they jumped the shark with analytics. They were like, well, I guess running backs don't matter at all. They took it literally.
Like, they fired their best analytics director. They fired their best analytics director, and they brought in a new guy that I don't think is as good.
Okay, so here's what they were like. We listened to his advice too much. He said running backs don't matter, but he was trying to prove a point. He didn't say literally they don't matter. He was like, they don't matter as much as they used to, but he was trying to prove a point, as we're trying to do on Twitter, saying the same thing. This is what happened. I'm sure this is what happened in the front office. And then they're like, he said running backs didn't matter at all. And now we have Rico Dowdle out here and Zeke Elliott, and we look like fools. And the Eagles look like geniuses for signing Saquon Barkley. God damn it, fire that guy. Well, you needed to calibrate how much you're using his advice and to what degree. That's your problem. That's the leader's problem. It's not. You're mad. You're basically mad at the data. He's basically giving you the data. And he's saying, hey, we need to dial back our investment in the running back position. And then you take it to the furthest extent of ever and say, we're not going to spend a dime on run. No, I'm sure that's not what he was saying. Yeah, I don't know who he is. I don't know who he is, but I'll cape up for him. That's not what he was saying, Jerry.
Let's not say his name, but you've met the guy that I'm talking about in a couple of times. But the thing is, it's like Michael Lombardi always talks about with the analytics on his podcast, when he's like, dude, it's just that guy's, what are you gonna listen? You're an NFL head coach. You're in charge of a multi-billion-dollar organization. You're down to this spot where you don't know whether or not to go. You don't know whether or not you're going to go. You're going to go, for it on this, on this 4th and 2 with however many minutes left in the third quarter when you're down 8, and you got this kid wearing a backpack that rode his bike into work and stuff like that. And he's telling you this, and you don't understand anything about the momentum of the game. You don't understand anything about what's going to happen to your defense if they got to come back on the field. Like, none of that stuff goes into the analytics about what that's going to do. Like, and he's like, and you call it, you listen to him, and you just listen to him like that without using any of your knowledge about what's going on with the actual football game. He's like, you're gonna screw it up, and that kid's gonna get on his bike and put on his stupid backpack and ride home, and it doesn't even matter to him.
The backpack was stupid.
It's kind of true. Like,
stupid backpack.
Anyway, we got on to all this because it was going to be the Daniel Jones and all the rest coming to Dallas, and before that, it was about how it was a stay away game or whatever it was. But I
can't believe you were playing Noah Brown.
I'm not playing.
You know better than that.
All I did was look down what the model.
You're not playing Noah Brown.
I'm not going to play Noah Brown,
but I'm can't play even in deep leagues. I'm talking about deep. I'm
saying I have him ranked over idiots like Demario Douglas and stuff like this. Like
Demario Douglas, that at least they're going to be playing from behind. Again, the problem is we've seen the Dolphins make it challenging for quarterbacks to connect with wide receivers. That's what they do. So I don't love Demario Douglas in that game either. I think that's another puke of a game.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's a stay as far away as you possibly can. And here's the thing.
There's so many of those games this week.
So listen, and so in salary cap DFS, guess what you have to do if you want to win a tournament. You got to choose which one of those games is going to go off. Yes. Because you and a million of your friends are going to each. Oh God, Matt, have you seen the contest for the Thanksgiving Millie Maker? That's a whole different thing. $5 one. It's like it's total lottery. But it's like you're gonna have to pick one of these games where it's gonna be where you're gonna have to root for this to happen, and you're gonna have to say, okay, so if Jordan, say like Jordan Love, if he goes off, who's it gonna be? Like, who's it going to be through? And I'm going to have to pick my guys. I'm going to pick Romeo Dobbs and Dontavian Wicks. And so I don't even know where the volume's going. And I got to pick this game that I hate and all this stuff. And
well, the worst part is with the main Sunday slate, because the Sunday Night Football game is not on the slate, then, okay, that takes off Eagles-Rams. That's one of the most stackable games ever. And now it's on an island slate. Right, so it's not as interesting. But Same with Ravens-Chargers. Like, if Ravens-Chargers was playing at 4:15, then you could stack Bateman and Quentin Johnston. But as it stands right now, that there's a couple different creative fringe wide receivers that you can stack as play the wide receiver with his quarterback plus a run back at total value. Listed the one earlier, Pierce and Jameson Williams, and then we sort of pieced it together with Michael Wilson and Tyler Lockett, because you mentioned Lockett as well. So those would be the two games that I would target and stack the value receivers, and then you could spread your salary out around the other positions.
Well, okay, but fine. But the general overall point is like,
But I find it fun. That's the thing. I find it enjoyable. I like solving the puzzle or trying to solve the puzzle of salary cap DFS. But I understand. Most people that I talk to
get into, it's too much. It's like because you got to understand the game, right? You have to understand how you have to understand. It's like, all right, I have this much I can allocate per salary, and if I spend too much here, I'm going to have you have to explain all that to people, right? And then on top of that, you have to explain. Now, guess what? Pick shitty players in situations that you don't think are any good, and they're just like, what? And like, well, that's the only way you're going to win a tournament, because otherwise, if you're gonna have the same lineup as everybody else, or at least take last week for example, you're gonna have the same structure of your roster. you're gonna pay up for McCaffrey, Achane, and Kamara, or one of the Lions guys, which is going to mean that you're going to have to pay down to Jameis Winston. You're going to stack him with Cedric Tillman. You're going to have to pay down for like a Kayshon Boutte, and then from there you can the big decision is whether or not you're going to pay all the way down to Davis Allen at 2,500, or whether you're going to get up to 3,800 to pay for Hunter Henry, because that extra 1,300 can get you a little bit better at your wide receiver 3. That is going to be what happens, right? Because that's the structure. That's the roster structure that making the optimal plays and stuff's going to lead you to. And I know that that's a cash games versus tournaments discussion, right? But people want to play in tournaments. Like, that's what your casual fan is. They want a shot at $1 million. And so, to me, whenever I look at the pick'em games, and I think what's super simple about them is, for one, there's no 4D chess. There's no galaxy brain stuff. There's no anything. It's just like, dude, every single week, Will Reichard, when he's healthy, goes over his 6.5 kicking points. Or, it's like, it's always a lock that if somebody's playing the Ravens and it's a number 1 wide receiver, pick them to go over on their longest reception, because the Ravens are allowing more 20-plus yard receptions than any. Like Quentin Johnston, I haven't even seen his longest reception. It's probably 22.5. That's one that I'll be on, right? The Jahmyr Gibbs longest rush is always sitting at like 15.5 or 16.5. That thing should be 21.5. He does it every single week. I don't know why they don't change it. There are just things like this where you can, things where you can just, like, you can go in and play, and if you put in 6 entries on Underdog, Prize Picks, or something like that, you can make 25x your cash. And I think that's enough to make 25x to where it gets people interested. You look at FastDraft.
You did that. You did exactly that. You put in 5 and you won 100. That's what you did.
All I got to do is just all I have to do on FastDraft is just have a couple strong takes about the slate and understand how it works. And just say, look, I'm drafting 6 players here on this slate. It doesn't matter their position. What do I need to do? I go into my turbo mode rank. What is it called?
Turbo mode, exactly.
Like the
turbo mode. Turbo mode allows you to, let's say the drafts take 5 minutes because you're drafting 6 guys, but you can max enter 5. If you don't have time for 5 different drafts, that's fine, right? It's fine.
I want to make my rankings and
submit your rankings. So what turbo mode allows you to do is you say, okay, I'm going to move Gibbs up. I'm going to move Montgomery up, and move a handful of these guys up, and move a handful of these guys down, order up 5 teams, ship it. And then the system, like, it emails you your rosters once it's all set.
Yeah. And so I know, like, this week, I haven't totally hashed out my whole theory here, but hold on, we're not going to have the Philly Rams game on there, are we?
Yes, we do. Yes, okay. The nice thing about FastDraft is that the Sunday night slate is on the main Sunday slate.
Okay, so we'll see about Devontae Smith today. Have you seen anything about whether he got in a limited practice?
Probably not. I haven't seen it yet. I have not seen it yet. And what's going to happen is the tournament's already 40% filled. So what ended up happening is most of the drafts happen Friday afternoon, Saturday, and Sunday morning. So I'm pretty sure this thing's going to fill. We came 1 draft away from, basically what happens is, if we don't fill, we don't make any money. So what happens is we were 1 draft away. That 1 draft would have been the equivalent of our rake. And so because we didn't get that draft, then we didn't actually generate any revenue from that. But right now we're in customer acquisition mode. So we are offering these generous promos, like this refer a friend promo, where just a friend puts in your username and then we match their deposit. And then we also give you the same equivalent. So we are trying to get more money in the pool, get more players in the pool, and not necessarily make money in the short term, but in the long run, we want more people playing, more people engaging, and we're confident in the technology. And that's what I'm talking about with, like, Ted Turner. He was confident in the programming they were putting on TBS and TNT, and he knew that as soon as people would pick up the channel that they would watch. I'm confident that when people pick up the app and they play, they will keep playing. And it's antithetical to my personal preferences. So some people build apps or they build businesses around things they like. And that was very much what I did with Player Profiler. Player Profiler is my dream website for researching NFL. That's what I built.
Yeah, right.
FastDraft is not that. FastDraft, I talk to other people. And what I realized in talking to a lot of people is most fantasy gamers don't love all the iteration, don't love the fact that they feel like they're going up against these AI bots when they play DFS.
Sure.
They don't embrace the challenge of solving that level of difficult puzzle. And they really just want to get, some pretty basic positions on paper and say, this is what I think is going to happen. These are the guys I think they're going to exceed expectations. And then let's watch the games and I can get excited when my guys perform. That's the level that most people, and again, I'm not most people. You talked about earlier that I'm not like most people. And so what we had to build with FastDraft was not my ideal game, but what I believe it is, and I'm very confident more and more in hearing feedback from people that are emailing me. Anyone could email me, matt@fastdraft.app. Any feedback about the app whatsoever, I'd love to hear it. And what I'm hearing is that they do enjoy being able just to go in and say, hey, I have a thesis about a few of these games and a few of these situations and a few of these players. I'm going to set my rankings accordingly, or I'm going to jump in some drafts accordingly, and I'm done and I'm good and I can watch it all play out. And it didn't take me hours on Sunday morning with 3 different computers.
And I could tell you, so it's pretty easy. So this is for the Flex 6, whatever, so you can see. It's probably hard to tell. You can just go get the app and see it, but it's got your rankings. And so what I see here is the current ADPs. It goes Devon Achane, Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley, Justin Jefferson, Joe Mixon, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, and then AJ Brown. It's like I'm gonna have. So here's my.
What are you gonna do?
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going to be fading Saquon Barkley, and I'm going to be just getting all the AJ Brown. So I'm going to move down Saquon Barkley. That's going to make me need to, and I'm not playing. I don't want Jefferson. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get Mixon up right. I'm going to get Mixon up right there with McCaffrey.
The Jefferson fade is one of the keys to winning this. I think that's my opinion. I mean, of course I can't play.
And so whenever I move down Saquon, I'm going to bump up Mixon to where Saquon was, and I'm going to bump up AJ Brown to a spot to where I'm going to get him before any other wide receiver, and I'm going to be able to get him with my second pick because his ADP right now is at 8. So I'm not going to get him up to where I certainly get him with my first pick. I might get him with my first pick, but only if he's behind Achane, McCaffrey, or Saquon, or Achane, McCaffrey, and Mixon, which will give me the opportunity to get one of those 3 plus AJ Brown. And then from there, it's super easy. Just get up both of the Lions running backs. Get both of those guys up to maybe hope.
What about in the 6th round? What kind of fringe guy in the 6th round are you trying to get?
Once I get to the 6th round,
yeah, because that can be the difference between finishing 5th and finishing 1st. You get the right core team, and then it's really what fringe guy did I add in round 5 and 6?
Mike Evans. Mike Evans stands out, 43 ADP.
You go even deeper.
Okay. Bucky Irving stands out here at the very end.
I love Bucky. That's right. Yeah. Theo loves Bucky Irving this week. Now, there could be a game that we don't love, but based on the game script, Bucky Irving, like we talked about, Brian Robinson. I hate that game this week, but I love Brian Robinson. Just like I hate that Bucks game, but I like Bucky Irving this week.
Yeah, I'm going to get Bucky Irving up. I told you earlier, Jameson Williams is probably pretty good where he is in this thing right now. Mike Evans looks like a smash. Oh, gosh. Aaron Jones is cheap on FastDraft this week, too.
Tricky matchup against the Bears. This is just the ADPs. This is just where people are drafting these guys.
Yeah. It's interesting, but I think that the move at the top is what's gonna. And then so what I do is I'll set my rankings on here, save them, go in, and you just go in. You say you want to enter the drafts. It's a 5 max. Just enter 5 of them.
Yeah, 5
Say,
max.
click, and it's gonna draft them for me, and I don't have like it take me 2 seconds. So, but that's my general strategy this week: Achane, McCaffrey, Mixon, and then my next overall player is going to be AJ Brown because I'm thinking that Devontae Smith doesn't play.
Wow, yeah, that's really cool to hear. This was not planned. This was not supposed to be this content marketing embedded promotion.
It kind of seems
FastDraft. This is not on the show sheet.
FastDraft. It's fine, man. It's
we
fine.
did not. I'm just saying we didn't plan this. This was not on the show sheet. I wasn't like, hey, talk all about FastDraft. We got to promote it. No, we're talking about the business and what I want to tell people is that next week we are rolling out we're doing a turkey tournament. So we're going to do the 3 games on Thursday, but we're also going to add the Friday game. So there's going to be a 4-game slate, a special 4-game slate next week, and then we're going to have the normal Sunday slate. So we're going to have 2 slates next week. So we're always trying to experiment incrementally. And then the next big experimentation we're going to do is it's going to be called Select 6, and there is no draft room. You can just pick any 6 guys this week. So you could just go to your rankings and pick the 6 guys you have ranked at the top of the rankings for this week. That easy.
That's an interesting game. That brings some interesting strategy into the fold.
That's the thing, right? That was the number one concept that I wanted to express today. Was my first instinct when I talked to people, and again, I talked to so many people in the industry, Matthew Friedman, Ray Garvin. I had so many people that I had calls with about this app to talk through it, you and many others. And they kept coming back to keep it simple. And I was like, but isn't that too simple? And the response I got back from a bunch of people, and it was so dead on, was that yes, the way your brain works, you think there needs to be more complexity. But actually, the sharp people and the volume drafters, they're going to find ways to get unique. They're going to find strategies to get edge. Even if you simplify the format and make it accessible to literally even that guy that was, texting my wife about Herbert versus Nix. Yeah. Right. And then basically then he followed it up, by the way, with like trade advice. Like, should I trade? And then she's getting right back to him right away. And he's like, wow, that was really is it? And then it's like, of course I have the phone, duh. Yeah. But, and I'm like, you gotta, I think he had Kyron Williams, and you could tell, like, in my heart, I was like, I really should be telling this guy to trade Kyron, but I can't. Like I'm creeping towards becoming a broken man with Kyron Williams, and it was evidenced by the fact that my wife had no idea, so she wouldn't have known this was going on. But I was like, I'm gonna tell him to hold on to Kyron. God damn it, I'm such a fraud. But I was like, trade for Ramondre Stevenson, trade for Tyrone Tracy. These are some guys you can try to trade for. So that was, and he was like, wow, this is great. I gotta text you more often.
I got my own concierge service here for my fantasy team.
That's how we got started. That was our first subscription service in the history of PlayerProfiler. I would give out my phone number and people would text me. That was our first subscription service. That was the first way I ever made money doing this.
It isn't scalable. We had one called Rosterwatch Now, and people it was like $1.99 to submit your question. And all of a sudden, man, once we turn that on, and it's like the power of Sirius XM too. It's like you tell people about it, and they do have a question, and they trust you. They're used to hearing your voice on the radio. They think you're sharp, and people care about their fantasy teams, man. And then so you turn on the spigot, and next thing you know, dude, it was. We couldn't answer them all. It was like we were like the. Like the dog that caught up to the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
I know.
We were just like, what happened? So yeah, it's not a scalable business at all. Do you know what I just
be careful what you wish for, man. Be careful what you wish for. So,
do you know what I just got an alert for?
What alert?
I had a new weapon show up here at my house, but not a fire. I bought this pepper spray and what's the other stuff? Tear gas,
Sure.
pistol launcher.
Yeah.
Pistol launcher.
Yeah. Why? Why not? Some people ask why. I ask why not.
Yeah, why not? It's
why
like
not?
A less lethal option to carry around. Oh, look what we got, dude! Look, who just showed up at my house.
What?
Hey! Come in here.
Spear gun?
No.
Spear gun?
Let's see if you recognize this dude.
Stop it. Stop it. Who is this? Who is this? Oh, he's there! What's up, buddy? Anthony Richardson this week.
Yeah, Cody
got him.
Cody
he's gonna prove all the critics wrong.
Cody, man, the show's called Content Kings, man. But I mean, it's like I spend my whole day just doing this kind of like Cody and I have a daily show that we do doing the Longhorn stuff. So he's coming in for a live one that we have at one of our sponsors, Beef Shops tonight, and he's going to go to the Texas game tomorrow. So
are you going to go shoot a buffalo after that?
No.
I'm not even kidding. Didn't you get invited to go shoot buffalo?
Yeah, $1,750. But like I said, it's a herd reduction hunt at a high fenced ranch. So it's like, but it's like 400 pounds of meat. And to me, it's just, I felt like I haven't got back to the guy, but I'm just like $1,750. I get 400 pounds of meat. And it said, I don't hunt high fence, right? I would see this less as more of a harvesting opportunity where I can just kill the animal. I can gut it. I can butcher it. It feels a little bit more like, I know it's like, I know it's organic. It's just a wild animal. You know what I mean?
It's the definition of organic.
Yeah. So I broke it down. It's like $4.30 a pound whenever you do it like that.
Ground buffalo, I'm not even talking about like the steaks or the quality meat, just the ground buffalo in the store is something like $11 in Connecticut.
Yeah. So what? I mean, it's
$11 a pound it's crazy. It's good. It's lean. I like it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No. So I mean,
it's great for tacos. I like buffalo tacos. I love buffalo tacos.
I'm thinking about it. I mean, that's a lot of meat. I can give some to neighbors. Not to Malik, but to my actual, I'll bet you that the neighbors would take some, if I knew him.
Okay. So I wanted to talk to you about this and this is something that I know I hear you, everyone. I hear you. The audience wants more, mind of mansion lifestyle hacks. Okay. And I get it. And I want to deliver for you, and I will. I found a new spice that I'm putting on everything: popcorn, meat, you name it. Have you ever heard of tagine or tahine?
Yeah. Tahine is what it is.
It's tahine, right? I'm just getting familiarized with this. It's tahine, and here, check this out. Here it is. Look at this.
Yeah, it's tahine, doggy.
Look at that. That's tahine. You put it on fruit, even. You put it on apples. Put it on pineapple. Salad. Look at this.
Jicama with lime. And then do you know what the best place to put it on is, Matt?
What?
You gotta rim your glass with it whenever you drink a margarita.
Stop it. That's a great idea. Oh my God. That's a great idea.
I can't believe you don't know this.
I love tahine. Tahine.
Yeah, man. Tell them.
I love it. It's weird how it has like a limey flavor. It's just so good. So that's my piece of advice when you're in the store, when you're shopping, to spice things up. Now I put on everything. I think I've gone too far. I've jumped the shark a little bit with the tahini. I gotta bring it back a little bit because I gotta make it special. Like certain things, I gotta make it special. I can't just put it on everything.
Yeah, no, it's a terrific spice, man. Cody and I are actually getting into the spice game. We're making our own spice for our other show. We got a guy that's helping us do it. We got the ingredients to him, man. We're actually gonna get to test it out tonight, man. Spice Company. We're gonna have our own spice.
This is why this is the best show on the network. Because listen, I don't plan to really dig into the fine-grained details of FastDraft strategy. You do that for me, and we didn't even talk about it. You're starting a spice company, and I brought it up. We didn't talk about this. Is not on the show sheet. I will share the show sheet. This is not on it.
Oh no, we didn't even talk about Rico Dowdle yet, and he's the top guy on the thing.
Well,
I guess we did kind of talk about Rico Dowdle.
We talked about Justice Hill. We listen, we've talked enough football. The one thing I do want to mention with Fast Draft, because I get questions about what's coming next, with this Select 6, where you just pick the 6 guys, there's going to be both a tournament version and cash games. So that's so with the Select 6, we're going to make it easy where you just join a draft with 10 other people, and then the top 3 cash. It's going to be a triple up. No. So we're going to do a Select 6 triple up, and that's the easiest thing, where just, we pay out through 9 players, and then the 10th buy-in we keep, and that's the rake. It's so simple. It's such an easy format, and people will love it. And again, I was proven so wrong by FastDraft and his popularity, and I'm happy to do it. And again, this is where a lot of companies and a lot of organizations go wrong, where the guy at the top is constantly just thinking that the public likes what he likes, right? He or she are always thinking about, okay, I love this thing. This is my sensibility, so we just need to go do this because I know that's what people are gonna want. And then you see people at the company being like, yeah, sure, okay, we'll go and do what you want. I'm not sure what the market is for that. And then the CEO's like, trust me, it's going to be great. And then they go to market and it's crickets. Because most people aren't you, man. Right? And so I got very lucky with PlayerProfiler in that the website I wanted, my dream website, was very useful and appreciated by a lot of people. But I didn't want to take I couldn't take that kind of business risk with FastDraft. I had to go out and talk to like 10, 20, 30 people and get an understanding and be like, okay, we're stripping this thing down, because the early versions of it were more complicated. The early versions of it had more game theory, and now what we're seeing with Prize Picks and Underdog being so popular with these pick'em games is this is what people want. They just want to pick their 6 guys and go have fun on Sunday. And yet it's still very easy for the serious fantasy gamers and the volume players to find edge. And they often will find edge in round 5 and 6, or with player 5 and 6. If you're just picking 6 guys, they'll find those guys that are low owned, that have the low roster percentage, and they'll get unique in some ways. So that was the big takeaway, was don't try to guess and project how the best players, the grinders, are going to exploit this game. Don't worry about it. They will find a way to get edge. Don't worry. Your number one job is to find a game that the most number of people possible can engage with and enjoy. So that was the whole mantra behind FastDraft.
Yeah, it was easy for me, man. It was easy for me. Like, we've talked about it before, but whenever I did it, I'm just like, are you telling me in this game I'm going to be able to get 4? I mean, my lineup right now that's in first place for 10K on there, I think I'm in the top, the 3 in the top 11. But the one
Look
that's
at you,
in first
dude.
place,
I can't. Yes, that's a truth statement.
The one that's in first place, I got Joe Mixon in the 5th round. I knew that these running backs were going to be undervalued, because all the best ball bros always, it was like the best ball thing was all. I just turned it on his head. I'm like, I'm not gonna go this receiver stuff. I'm gonna get Derrick Henry and Saquon Barkley and Alvin Kamara and Joe Mixon, and I'm going to put on either side of them. I'm going to put good wide receivers. I'm going to put Jamar Chase in the captain, and that'll be that. And so it's like, yeah, people will find their edges for sure. I got to head up to the feed store and do the Blitz show, but before I leave, I need to ask you about. Can we please start out the show tomorrow so we don't forget about it? About a Godfather offer for Nate Liss and getting it back on the Sonic Truth Pod.
We will. This is something that we need to do. We need to talk about Nate Liss. We need to talk about Alan Soslowski. We need to talk about the Sonic Truth, because the Sonic Truth is back on the brink. And
on the brink.
It's been on the brink many times.
There's
been 3 or 4 instances in the history of the Sonic Truth where this thing has been teetering.
Is it teetering?
The show is back on the brink, and its survival is at stake, and we're going to talk about it next time. Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.